Thursday, February 25th, 2016.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got one. Motion to dispense with reading of courtesy committee.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Consolidated budget here. General fund capital.
We are expecting the sheriff to be here today. He wasn't able to make it last week. He said he should be here before 10, and Carolyn was generous and gave us an hour. You could probably, if you'd like, fill that first 30 minutes in terms of talking about the capital items, you think?
Sure. Judge McCookie?
Nope.
Okay, 'cause I asked her to come out here because she's revised her
Mm-hmm.
operational request from last week.
Right, quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you want to move in a few pages on the 8.5 by 11 documents,
Go ahead, sir. What do you want to look at?
the list of projects,
Under what, facilities?
facilities, correct. They're kind of summarized on the first page, and then they're more detailed on the second page, a list of the different items, some of which we do not have firm prices yet. Still working on that.
Okay.
I don't know, Gary, if you want to join the,
You want to take down your list, Gary?
Sure.
Copier first.
We can. She wants to go back one page into our regular budget.
We have one request under facilities, just so we can get that, and then we'll go to the capital projects.
Okay.
Towards the bottom, capital, the new copier. We currently have an older copier and two older printers we utilize. Actually, the color printer just died this week. So we're looking at getting one that does all, eliminate those three pieces of equipment, replacing it with one that can serve all our needs we need.
Gonna lease it, buy it?
I believe we're gonna buy it. That was the quote, to buy it. What's that?
Did you look into leasing?
We can.
Probably should. I mean,
Yes,
Yes.
and with the maintenance plan,
Okay.
usually worked out better like in human services.
All right, that's fine.
Just the way technology changes.
Yep.
It's not necessarily cost effective anymore to buy these things.
Okay.
so.
Nope, we will check on that. And that was the number 2 buy, so I'm sure the lease would be less than that, so,
Sure.
okay. I will give Nancy a note and she will obtain those numbers for us then, so.
Is that an okay then? He can go
Yeah.
ahead and pursue that?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, you guys are good?
Okay.
Okay, onto the capital then. First one is the courthouse office building panic buttons. Currently, we have them in both buildings. This price will get them replaced in the courthouse, add some in the office building, plus replace the ones that are there. And then every time it's pushed, it will go directly to the courthouse, where those deputies versus going through an alarm company, the deputies from the courthouse, being right across the street, will be able to respond quicker than what we've had in the past.
What did that alarm company cost us? Do we know?
No, I don't. I
It
can't.
cost us something.
It goes through Habitech is who monitors it for us. And then by the time the call goes to them, and then by the time they get the call through the dispatch and usually it's over by the time they even get there,
I
so.
think we talked about that. That
Yes.
makes sense.
This would streamline it all right to the courthouse. A deputy could run over.
I'm good with that.
So you found out that there's a fiber line between the office building?
Yes, there is. I've talked to the IT department, yeah, they confirmed that.
Okay.
Next is the carpeting in Judge Tone's area. He's requesting this. Initially, he had requested one room where his clerks sit, but it adjoins to 2 rooms on either side, which would give it, if you just did the one, the others, I mean, the main room is bad. The other 2 are so-so. He's looking to do it all at one time versus just doing the one room, so 2 years from now, you don't have to come in and do another area. And that is with carpet squares due to the fact it's all cubicles.
That's fine.
Okay.
Judge Delameter's renovations, we were given 50 grand last year. which most of the remodel fell under that, but they've also requested to replace a few tables in the courtroom now that the courtroom is redone, the tables are looking rough, so I'm not sure the exact number there. That was something we came up with just to get us to the point to where he could replace everything else he needed to finish the remodel totally.
Yeah, I looked at some of that stuff. It's
Yes.
pretty tough.
Yes. Probably 1980s era.
Yeah,
So-
some may have been there.
That's why it ran over the 50 with the additions they wanted to add for that. So,
That's okay, the 10,000?
Yep.
the title office upgrade, this is one that Levada had requested. I'm not sure exactly what she's after. They came up with that number. I know she has talked about potentially replacing the front counters with new glass, but I haven't officially sat down with her yet to discuss all her needs.
I don't have any problem with the counters, but I went down there, you know, when they were talking about the carpeting.
Mhm.
I went down just to take a walk through to see how bad it was. And I was trying to find out where, I asked the gal, I said, well, where's the carpet bad here? And she said, oh, it's out in front. And there was 2 spots,
Yes.
not,
The main area where the public walks in.
you know, clean it up. Or either that, or you've got those tile squares, right?
Yes. Well, there aren't squares there, but you could do with squares. Thing is, that whole building, as you'll see later, everyone down there is requesting, because it's 20 years old, so,
She was too.
yes.
And I understand the logic, you know, with the
Mhm.
money and that stuff. I'm not opposed to the security issue of it, but that number seems a little high to me.
Then that's, I just said, that is not my number. That is something I don't know if she's obtained quotes. I know one time she was talking to a carpet guy, and of course, they see across the hall and see the treasures, and everybody in the building now is starting to get visions
But
of something.
We did a lot of work in that office.
Yes.
When Barb Johnson was there too.
Yes.
so, I mean, big changes in
Mhm.
the office, so.
She's got some security updates, I mean, I don't have any problem with that.
In terms of ownership of that number, it might be finance's number as of this morning, because Levada says that's not her number.
Okay.
So it's kind of,
Well,
she's looking for a home, but we know there's a cost there, we're not quite sure.
We'll leave it as a ballpark number, and
Yes.
we'll work from there then.
I'm a no. I don't think it needs it. I think it's fine the way it is.
So you're a no on the carpeting?
With the
I
security?
don't
On
think
the
it needs
security.
anything. I don't think it needs the security. I think she's fine the way it is.
I disagree, so I'm good. Bill?
Yeah, I think with the amount of money that passes through there and as crazy as some of these people are today, you don't know what's gonna happen. And it's a minimal upgrade for that security.
Yeah, you guys can go in that front, just did the doors, the glass, and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. It wasn't all that much money, so.
Okay.
I'm good
How
with
much
the
money
security
was it?
issue.
For
This is what they're talking about.
the one at the Treasury,
Yeah.
that ended up,
Building the walls and.
well, that included tearing apart some other walls in offices. That number came in a little over 30.
1,000,
Yes.
yeah. It's been working all this time. I don't know why we're getting
Okay, so
excited
you
here.
two are okay with the security upgrades, but not the carpeting?
Yeah,
The
I think
security
do the
upgrades, I don't
security
have any
upgrades,
problem.
Good.
yeah. Okay.
The service center common area entryway flooring, that is the first floor as you first come in. We've got the vestibule that leads into the elevator lobby. That carpet obviously we've had several roof leaks that we're still chasing. We want to replace that with some of the type flooring we put in over at the jail and at the detention home. That chip paint floor, they call it. It's a cleaner look, it's a seamless look, so water doesn't pop anything.
Where's this at, Gary?
First floor lobby in this building, the first entrance you come into, the handicap doors, and then the vestibule by the
The
lobby.
8-foot wide place?
Yes.
So you're gonna epoxy paint that floor?
It's that, same as what's in the jail. It's that chip paint floor, they call it.
Does it have the sand grit in it?
Yes, yes.
So it's not slippery?
No.
Yeah.
And eventually, there'll probably be a walk-off mat put over it as you first come in too, to
I'm good with
catch
that.
salt and stuff,
For
but
all the leaks we've had,
it's just-
a tough area. We just reblasted that this
Yes.
summer again.
it's nicer because it's a seamless and you don't have to worry about water getting under it, so.
It was still leaking yesterday again,
Yes.
so.
And yesterday they did show it's, some window issues now we're tracing, so we're still on top of that.
I'm good.
Is that those windows leaking, or do you think it's coming in through the stone?
It's the windows.
I thought too.
All right, next.
Window dormers, we had one replaced last year down above in Regional Planning's conference room. All the dormers around the building. If you get up on the flat roof and look down, they're all starting to rust. They're a metal roof. And this is to come put a rubberized coating on it to protect all them. That's an actual quote I received from a company to do that.
Good.
What do you mean a rubberized coating? You're
It's like
just
an
gonna-
acrylic rubber coating that'll cover all that. It gives and goes with the heater cold, it expands.
Can't you just put a rubber roof on it?
Well, there's a lot of different contours to it. They're like decorative.
So it won't work,
No,
okay.
no.
Okay.
Nope.
So
This
you're
will coat
talking-
all the edges. They'll seal everything up, totally coat it.
So you're talking about that white acrylic
All the
membrane,
dormers,
like you
yes.
put on mobile home roofs?
Yes, yep.
And, yeah, that shouldn't cost that much,
Very
right?
good.
Because I forget the total of them there is on this building. Whole third floor, there's 20 or so.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's okay?
Yeah.
The annex boiler house tuck point and brick, this is a complete tuck pointing, sealing, replacement of brick, caulking, sealing all the windows. It'll do the boiler house out back where you can see the chimneys falling off. This will also do the whole annex, totally clean that up. That's a number we just received yesterday.
Who'd you get that from? Kroon?
Mid-state,
Who?
mid-state.
Yeah, I think what I would do on that is I would contact a local mason, that I can give you a couple names.
And this was just a budget number to give something
Yeah,
to work off
That's a
of.
big budget. No, you could probably get done for half of that
yeah.
in the end, but yeah,
Conceptually,
it definitely needs it.
I'm good. So, feels good, right?
Yep.
We're good. That's good.
Boiler house roofs, that same buildings, just 4,000 to coat those two buildings before. We got the brand new boilers. We don't want to have a leak that potentially drips down, and they're electronic now. We don't want something to happen to where those
Okay.
could potentially be damaged.
Okay?
Yep.
Adult probation parking lot, that's just a crack fill and a seal of that parking lot. It's 2 years old now. Same thing, we just want to maintain them, because if we don't, we're going to be in the same boat we've been in the last few years.
Okay.
Same with county court, just below that. That's a quote I obtained to get that parking lot done the same way, because that's almost 3 years old now.
Now, the judge can pay for that out of his budget.
And I think they talked about it, but it's just a number that I had obtained that we wanted to make sure it was at least in here somewhere.
You haven't talked to Paul at all, then?
That shouldn't be under Gary's budget though at all.
No.
No, that should come out of,
Yours, yeah.
that should come out of the judge's special funds.
And I've been in contact with their maintenance person out there, and she knows about it, so.
Okay, next.
Painting floors at detention, that one I'm not 100% sure what exactly they're after there for the 40,000. We did all the hallways. I don't know if that's the pod floors, or, I don't know if that was discussed at you guys' budget meeting with them.
Remember anything yet?
I,
How bad are they?
Well, the only ones that would be left would be the detention and pods. The CCF, the old long dorms.
Going to the pod.
Yes,
The
yes,
individual
the open
cells,
dorm rooms.
it goes back.
Yes, we did all the floors and the CCF end.
Yeah.
And we did all the hallways, which the state paid for a lot of that. The only thing left to do would be the three,
Got a good deal.
or the 4 pods at the detention end. That must be what they're looking at.
Contractor?
Yes, yes.
I'm good. We got a good deal from the state
Oh,
when
yeah,
they
they-
took a lot of money in that bid.
can we get any money from the state on that?
It's the detention, and they will not pay for the detention, and they can only pay for stuff the state is part of.
I'm good.
Same with radios, that must be something Krista had requested, grant funded.
They are getting grant. They've been told they will have a grant for that. It will not be formalized till another month or so.
What kind of radios are these? Handheld walkie-talkie things? Kenwoods, what?
Um,
I'm assuming it's the ones that they all carry when they're in the building to communicate with each other.
Going to involve repeaters.
So shouldn't your number be the 14,734?
We haven't gotten the grant approved, but
But
it's
you
in-
will.
it's in process, so.
What's the number on them? How many of them?
They say how many?
The 50,000 is the total cost, which you would need to include that in the budget, because the grant would be a revenue stream.
Hey, Siggy, how much one of those lapel radios cost now? Say a Kenwood or something?
500?
500?
Yeah.
Okay,
You mean for like work area?
yeah,
Yeah, about 500, if Mike's about 75 bucks extra.
okay. Thanks, Sig.
Okay.
If they get the grant, I'm okay.
Okay, with grant.
Yep. You guys okay with the grant?
If you get the grant, yeah.
Job and family parking lot ceiling, 9,000, same thing. That parking lot, this will be the 3rd year since it was paved. So just trying to protect it
Yeah,
with the rest.
that's good. You guys good?
Yeah, my thing about that is the JFS should be able to pay for that.
I agree
And
with
from
that.
what I understand is,
Okay.
they don't agree with that.
Why would they pay for it?
Their property,
They pay for the rest of the-
they paid for the they paid to get the parking lot resurfaced.
Yeah.
We upfronted it and financed it, but they're paying us back over a period of years.
But wasn't that to do with their reimbursable on the state money that they get for their depreciation of the building? The expense we pay back.
I don't think so.
You can check into it, Pete. If they should-
I thought that's why
they
we
can
did
pay
the
for it,
paving
they
that
should
way in
pay
the
for it.
loan.
If they can pay for it. they
No,
should pay for it.
that's got nothing to do with depreciation in the building.
But I don't mean depreciation, it's the money we get back from the state, that they get reimbursed from the state as part of their overall expense. That's the cost share. That's why part of the building is being paid for by them, the state of Ohio, I'm talking about, on their operational expense. And aren't we charging this as an operation, like fixing the roof, same thing?
Yeah, and the same thing when we fix, again, we financed the roof, but they're paying us back over a period of time for it.
Right.
And I don't know
We
why,
can do the same thing here.
yeah, I don't know why we
Right.
couldn't do the same thing here.
Yeah, as of yesterday afternoon, that's really the only way they felt they could come up with the money is if we continue to
That
spread it out.
process.
Yeah, the thing is, we'll probably be doing this every other year, so what's the life of spreading it out, quite frankly?
Good point.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, they're just gonna have to
Well-
budget in their budget.
I guess the only question, if we got the money in the capital account, would any of this money be coming out of their day-to-day operations? In other words, taking care of the kids in this community?
I mean, it would be part of their overhead, which stings that a little bit, you know, I mean, not much,
Not much.
yeah, minuscule.
So,
We'll check into it.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do with them.
That's a maybe.
Next is the JJC detention home parking, same thing, crack fill seal. Actually, the state paid for this about 3 years ago. So if we went back to them, I'm not sure they would do it again due to the fact it isn't all for just the state. So that is to,
Is that a good number?
yes.
It says repaving, what's that?
No, it shouldn't, it's just crack filling, sealing, and restriping.
That's a big lot.
Yes, there's a lot of blacktop over there.
Rob's weird.
How many square foot is that, do you know? off the top of your head?
I'd have to look, but there's I mean, you got that whole drive that goes around the whole perimeter of the property, basically. You got 2 parking lots.
Big area.
You got a big area. over
Yes, yes.
there. Big area.
I'm okay.
Yep.
The salt barn, that is additional. Originally, we were gonna just have Ehovie kids do that, but then with Perkins Township got involved, we need architect rendering, drawings. It expanded the project. We carried over some money from last year, but that'll be enough to complete it with the Ehovie kids building it this year to cover our salt behind our vehicle maintenance building.
Okay.
And then the Tiffin Ave storage building, similar to what we did on our 2 buildings back here. The lower half is rotted away. We need to cut it up, replace the metal, repaint that whole building, and redo the whole roof.
That's the old city building?
Yes, which we use for a lot of different,
We've got everything back there.
it's a huge building, and if we don't take care of it now, it's not to where mice can get in now. I mean, you're talking where squirrels can almost crawl in the building.
You said repair the roof, what do you mean?
Well, just get up there, recoat it, fix some of the skylights that have holes in them, and then coat that whole roof also.
You got a price from
Yes,
somebody on
those
that?
are already numbers. Those are actual numbers that would cover it.
Okay.
And that building's used for a lot more than people realize with storage and that, so.
Got it, Carolyn?
yep, thank you.
All right.
We're gonna check with Judge Luxon to find out on material out there as far as parking lot sale. We're gonna,
Yeah,
Willing to pay, yeah.
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 They were gonna do it last year, but then they added that fence and had to dig some trenching up for all that, so they waited to do it this
I
year.
was out there the other day, but the whole thing looks
Mhm.
really nice.
Mhm. And then below that are the ones without numbers that they were all projects that were brought up during budget meetings that finance had with all the different departments. So as you can see, the 4th floor of the courthouse is requesting every office and every area be painted and recarpeted. It's getting dingy. Whether all of it needs it or not you'd have to almost go room to room, but they're requesting that. So, like I said, none of these we have numbers on, as those are just in starter conversations. Judge Maguki is requesting carpeting. She's trying to set up a meeting with me to discuss exactly what she wants as far as which rooms and that. Judge Tone, I have talked to him. He wants to expand his jury box of 12 to 24 because when he has civil hearings, he needs more than 12 people sitting up there, and he said the room gets crammed. This is in the large courtroom. And he,
24?
he wants it to seat 24 people.
It's gonna be tight.
It'll work. I went down there and met with him. We can make it happen. He can add a row towards the back and expand it out to the right as you're looking at it.
Yeah, that's a little
Yeah.
bit.
Then he wants all new carpet and redo some chairs. We're in the process of getting Milky's to quote reupholstering the chairs how he wants.
Why would he want 24?
He said when he has civil cases that he'll have more than 12 people that have to sit up there, and it just gets crowded.
More than that. Okay.
Auditor's office, they're wanting to replace carpeting on the second floor there. Also, third floor prosecutors are looking to replace theirs in the office building. Goes along with the recorder renovations. I know you guys have talked to Barb about what she's hoping to expand her office, which would include recarpeting there. And also in that building, we have to look at resealing that building and sealing all the windows. There's about 6 to 12 panes that need to be replaced that the seals have broke. So that would all be one inclusive project. And then the last for the office building is the camera project, which we know we've discussed. Putting cameras in the garage, in the building, and shooting that footage over to the courthouse where they could view it, and we can also monitor it and record it in our office building.
You say you've started to put those in?
No, we've started, I've got someone giving us a quote, a potential start quote, which it's tough because until we pinpoint how many we truly want and where all we want them, he can give us a price per camera and probably a labor per camera, but other than that, it's gonna be, we're probably talking 25 cameras total in the garage and building.
I want to take a look at who comes in and out of that garage, whether
Yes.
they be
Yes.
vehicles or pedestrians.
And again, with our policies, this kind of price, we should be getting quotes, and that just takes time to get vendors in and
Yes.
do that.
Well, you gotta follow the rules.
Yeah.
And we want to monitor it in the office building and record it, so we can go back and look, but also during business hours, we can shoot the footage to the courthouse, add a monitor in the holding area to where the deputies could also monitor like the first floor where people come in throughout the day.
If we start recording that, and it goes over to the courthouse, would that be saved at the courthouse then also?
There's not a recording device there, but we do have a recording device at the office building that we would save on. Like if something happened in the garage, which we went back and looked these last 2 instances, but with 5 cameras, you see very little of the garage. So the new, hopefully setup, you'd be able to see, the majority of the garage. Yes.
Okay. Looks like you're good, Gary.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay.
Pete, Judge McGookie did show up, and as well as the sheriff, so I guess
Who was there first?
Judge McGookie.
He always goes first.
Well,
Second page.
okay. I was here last week. You heard what we were talking about. I'll
plumbing and heating
So
out
give
of
us
Lorraine.
a good number.
Their bid guarantee and contract bond is present. And the amount of their bid is $87,970.
Wow,
Imagine that.
yeah, imagine that. But, it's a good bid. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
That's,
I think, we get it from the facilities department, and I make a motion to do the facilities department, let them.
Have a second.
Second.
Move second, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes. Thank you.
thank you.
You want to do the resolutions, Pat?
Are we done with,
They left. They ran out.
Resolution of the board for the purpose of entering into agreement with Allied Specialties.
Move second, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Shenigo? Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing county auditor to make supplemental appropriations.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Resolution entering into an agreement with MT Business Technologies.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Yes.
I gotcha. Wait.
Resolution authorizing payment to Alloy for services provided to Department of Environmental Services.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into contract with amendment with Safe Air Contractors.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into agreement with North Central EMS.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing payment Treasurer State of Ohio for services provided to Family and Children First.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing county auditor to make interfund transfer.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for the purpose of authorizing payment to Vance Outdoors for the sheriff's office.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into a utility agreement with ODOT for improvements at Strub Road.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into an agreement with Norwalk Area Health Services.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for the purpose of entering into a lease agreement with the Nature Conservancy.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into an agreement with SAL Chemical Company.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for the purpose of entering into final legislation with ODOT for improvements at Strub Road.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into agreement with the Erie County Prosecutor.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution appointing Teresa Reed and A.J. Lill to serve as prevention specialists.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for then and now.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for the purpose of entering an agreement with SAL Chemical Company.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution releasing liens against a property, 9019 River Road for payment of water tap services.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into an agreement with the sheriff.
It's child support enforcement.
4D, it's 4D contract.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution declaring certain items surplus and ordering them to be sold.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution for the purpose of entering into an agreement with Chimera Water Solutions.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Missing one?
I have one more. Should I have a motion awarding
It might be in here.
the Barchar Road project to Cash Services?
Oh, okay. Motion to award Barchard Road storm sewer improvements.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
About
Yes.
$200,000 difference in that. Couldn't believe that.
Is that it, Carol?
That's it, thank you.
Well,
Hope he knows what he's doing.
oh, the contractor? Yeah, I firmly expect him to march in early on the job and start asking for change orders, but he's gonna be running into the wrong individual to try that with.
He said, the name of the company is Cash,
Yeah.
Cash Services.
Cash Services. Oh, he made a lot of cash there.
Pete, you're up.
Okay. Well, it turns out our facilities, guys are also very good trappers. We got a raccoon on the roof the other night. Actually, I think it was yesterday morning they caught it. On the roof of the porch. And what they figure how that raccoon has been getting up there has been climbing those evergreen trees out front, getting up on that roof, and then climbing up one of the downspouts up to the top roof.
They use Doritos as bait, that's what I use.
Well, they tried apples, but that didn't work.
use
But what they
Doritos.
got was some really nasty old tuna fish and marshmallows, and that worked.
Cat food. Cat food will work too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, hopefully we're
We're glad.
glad that's been going on for a long time.
Good work.
Yeah, I mean, especially you work up here at night and you hear these noises up above your head and you wonder what's
So
going on.
when I come in here on a Sunday evening, when the lights are out, it wasn't somebody running around as one of the old people who lived here.
No, it
Either
was,
that or old Phil.
Yeah. That's right.
I think it was late last week, but I did pass around, we did get our second month of the sales tax. First month was just a hair under 5%, this one was just a little over 5%, so, right now I've been consistent. And I'm a little worried down the road because I've been seeing some reports on consumer confidence, which usually will affect sales tax numbers more than anything else, and that's kind of a dropping, unfortunately.
But gas is still cheap.
The gas is still
One of the
cheap.
things that may help us though, Pete, is you've got this new ride over to Cedar Point.
Right, it's like I said, I think we're gonna see the exact opposite of last year. Last year started out great guns and then slowed down in the summer. I think this year it's gonna start slow, and then when summer hits, I think we're gonna do really well, so.
What'd you factor in for your increase?
4% is what we did for the year. We just got an email last night. Again, if you remember about the issue with WIOA, that program,
I was just reading
again, yeah, the Area 7 designation, you know, we sent it to the state says, no, we don't agree with it. It was appealed down to the Department of Labor because it is a federal program, and the federal government agreed with us. So it's back in the state's hands, and we'll see where we go from there. I think, and ultimately, I think it probably will be, as far as a, you know, number of counties, I think that is gonna get shrunk. I mean,
It's gonna go up from 43, yeah.
yeah, I
But
mean,
at
that's,
least Steve's there, and then maybe he can fight for it in the legislature.
yeah, but, just at least that, you know, Columbus doesn't think they have the heavy hand they thought they did.
Yeah.
So-
Looks like we're good for through, or up till 2017, so I mean,
Mhm.
it's gonna happen this coming year.
Yeah, right. I got a letter from OWDA, Ohio Water Development Authority. And if you guys are aware, you know, we've done quite a bit of financing through that organization. Essentially, what those are revenue bonds, pretty much water and sewer. They actually went out and kind of did somewhat of a refinancing, so what they said was, if you got any loans where your interest rate is more than 4%, we're gonna rebate that difference down to 4%. So over the next 25 years, we're gonna receive about a $1.6 million credit. It's roughly about
Must have
about
fell
$64,000 a year.
Did we fall underneath the harm program?
Yeah.
Under what balance, Pete?
Doesn't matter the balance, just the interest rate.
No, I understand, but when you calculated it's gonna save 64,000 a year?
Roughly.
On what loan balance? You must have a dollar amount that we're paying.
They did not provide that.
I mean, that's a big number to save 64,000 a year.
Yeah, it's $1.6 million from 2016 to 2041. We have loans going all the way through those years.
Why don't we ask them to?
Well, our
break out
staff
the
can,
loans?
our staff will have the list, they can look at the loan number and they can figure that
Yeah,
out.
they
That's
can
not
I'd
hard.
like to
Somebody
see
over
that,
there
send
could-
that out.
Generate
Yeah.
that for you.
I mean, I hate to guess it, but I would say it's probably in the
20 million.
20 to 30 million range, something
It's
like
probably
that.
District B, most of it.
Some of it's your-
Sandusky Sewer Plant
Yeah.
expansion,
Yeah.
that was big, that's a big number.
Let's look at what those individual items are.
It's a
Oh, well.
nice savings.
But it is, yeah, I mean, I think someone put some pressure on them and say, hey, guys, you need to do some kind of refinancing, even though technically you can't refinance these,
You
but.
know, Jordan got her house loan through, not Egypt, but something, and it was a weird government company. It
Uh-huh.
was Rolo too, so.
Yeah, I think they went out and did a refinancing, quite frankly, yeah. But that's some good news.
Anything else, Pete?
Oh, that's all I've got.
Okay.
Pete, I got a question. What is this change order on Rye Beach and Moose Road? There's $6,396.
Yeah, it's a reduction,
Is it a reduction?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
It says
reduction.
it's decreasing the amount of the contract.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no negatives around it.
If you look right before it, it says decreased.
Decreased, yeah. What's it about? It says something about the balance of this first order closed.
I think if you want, if there is, you know, if you look on there, there is the usual, you know, list of all items. They,
Lineal.
yeah,
pieces,
lineal,
parts.
less lineal feet on the line.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, I think it was what, 390? They put in 360 or 330 or something like that. It wasn't a long
Yeah, I
line,
get it. Okay.
but that's primarily what it's from.
Okay, EMAIT.
All right, I got the screen up there. Good morning, how you guys?
Great, how about yourself?
Doing good. I think I was up in December, so it's actually somewhat of a little bit shorter report here. We met with Firelands BGSU campus and talked to them about some disaster and emergency response. They had their emergency planner from Bowling Green come up, and we met with all the guys there, met with the deputies out there. They're looking into some different training, the ALIS training, weather response, general disaster response, their overhead paging system. But they got a good handle on what they're doing out there. So a lot of students coming in and out of there. and security is going quite well out there. Met with Firelands Hospital and the Health Department. We had a tabletop drill. We're doing a regional exercise with
That's what you're gonna get from that meeting.
actually everybody in the northwest corner of the state to review a mass casualty response. So we'll see how that goes. Resource requests through the region and through the state are something that are always touchy. There's limited number of resources, so if they need a lot of ventilators or other certain pieces of equipment, we're trying to, get those filters out so everybody knows how to request them and where to go to get those. Attended the EMA Winter Conference and review of our grants that we have going on now. The Emergency Management Performance Grant, that's the 50/50 match grant that we get. So half of the expenses from EMA we get reimbursed back up to the $88,000 in that grant. The Pipe Creek project is going very well. We probably will be awarding that soon. The contract's in review locally and also in review with Ohio EMA, but all the feedback's been good with that. We just got a few minor draft changes yesterday on that, and I think we're finalizing that out. Then we can announce who that vendor is that we're selecting for that project. It's about a $150,000 project that we had money from Marcy Captor on. We got that years back.
Years ago.
Yeah, before I started. And it's finally coming in. We've fitted into the mitigation planning, and we're going to study Pipe Creek from pretty much Nassau to the Bay, looking at all the pinch points on that and the flooding they have there to see if we can expand something and get a lot of the homes across the street from us out of the NFIP, which really helps with resale value, tax value, and just the headache of emergency crews dealing with floods over there. So that would be really nice. Davis Bessie grant came in for $6,500. We got that last week. Spills and responses, haven't had too much stuff. Weather's been good, luckily. We worked on the full-scale drill with Cedar Point, and that was accepted by the CERC for our LEPC full-scale exercise last year. We had a larger response to the west side of Sandusky and Bayview for about a 900 customer gas outage. So that was kept us pretty busy on that one.
I've got to stop you on that. I've heard so many good reports about our EMA and Tim Janovich. Thank you very much because you really
I appreciate that.
made an impression upon a lot of people. So.
Well, thank you, Bill. Thanks. No, there were a lot of customers that were out, and with the cold weather, it posed some difficulties getting all those turned on in a timely manner. It affected Toff's Dairy and a couple other large companies also. So that was definitely a time crunch on getting everybody back online and back in production. They also had some water outages that night and the next day from a separate incident.
Well,
It was
the
a
sheriff could not say enough about, the job that you did personally out there, so.
okay. He was out there with me. Yeah, he and Jared were out there. Why?
And plus the mayor and a few other people out there were just complimenting.
Well, good.
The job you did, so I just tell you that.
Thank you. IT side, backup data centers coming along. I mean, it's a little bit slow. We got a rack down there. We're going to start working on some wiring for, we did, for generator and HVAC?
Yep.
Nice. Good. I knew that was coming up.
Get that done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know why nobody bid that?
I didn't
Only
even,
two companies took up plans.
You know why?
was that it?
No,
Odd.
yeah.
It's a fairly cut dry, really. I mean, the generator is very close to the electrical room, and, I mean, you have to get the power back over to those other UPSs in the parking garage. That's the only semi-tricky part of it. Otherwise, I mean, it's right there, out in the alleyway, open access.
I wonder, how many did we send it out to?
It should be on
That
there.
was facilities, I wasn't really involved with that.
Only two.
We only sent it out to two people?
Well, we
Well, I
sent
think
out
that's-
notices. but
Yeah, we sent out notices, like Dodge and the usual places, but only two people have requested specs. Yeah.
People must be busy.
And I wonder if that's a subcontractor even. One of them is.
Probably.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, we had a study on that, and it had prices and everything looked like it locked in pretty good for the estimates. Working on the Outlook email server, we got to update that. It's just an older server, and we're trying to boost that up to the 2016 version. Same with our storage and backup, kind of follow in suit with that. anything that we have on the main server and the email continues to grow, we're also backing that up. So we got several days worth of backup on that. So as that grows, the backup storage also is growing. 27 tickets are open in help desk currently, so we're keeping up with those. A lot of them are projects and things that just take time and, you know, they're waiting on. But that's a good low number for us, honestly. So things are going along well on the IT side.
Hey, Tim, got a question.
Yes.
You mentioned the First Energy grant for Davis Bessie,
Correct.
6,500?
Yeah.
Is that, all of a sudden it seems like that dropped quite a bit.
It's same, actually. Normally, it comes in as a 2-year when we sign the agreement, so it's double that, but
Okay.
then they split it. You know, you get half 1 year, half the next year. We went up a couple $100 in the last 2 or 3 years, but then it's been steady quo.
That used to be right around $20,000.
Oh, it used to be years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right.
it's, I mean,
So I'll have to look, I'll look and see the old stuff.
Okay.
yeah,
But-
it used to be like 27, 22, but every year it's been dropping.
Okay,
a
I know
little.
my LAPC is right in that amount. That's where LAPC is at.
Okay.
But yeah, since I've been here, we went up a few hundred, and then I think it's been steady quo since. But I'll check the figures on that.
I knew it had dropped. I thought it was down to maybe, you know, around 15 or something like that, but I
Yeah.
was surprised 6,500.
And maybe it's because it's double when you see,
Maybe,
it's a 2-year grant agreement.
maybe.
But yeah, since I've been in, I think it's been pretty much the same, went up a few hundred, and then it stayed right there.
Right.
Okay, any public comment regarding agenda items? Thanks for coming. We need a motion to go into executive session. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Sheniger?
Yes.
Yes. And we need a motion to adjourn that.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Sheniger?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.